Hey, good morning, Choice Residential. Hope your day's off to a wonderful start. Today, I want to have a discussion about how to explain to sellers the idea of offering buyer agent compensation. And there are kind of a couple of different ways you can go with this. The first is the traditional way, the way that you have always explained this to a seller and have always completed the paperwork. And that would be to explain to the seller the benefits of offering buyer agent compensation, the fact that since buyers won't have to pay their own agent, that opens up their property to more potential buyers. And the more potential buyers that we can bring to the table, the better terms ultimately we're going to be able to negotiate for them. So it's in their best interest financially to offer buyer agent compensation to remove that hurdle from prospective buyers. Now, the way that you are going to actually document this is where the paths can diverge, and there can be different opinions on how to move forward. Again, the first is the way that you've basically always done it, which is to include the buyer agent compensation in your listing agreement. And that will be the amount that the seller has predetermined that they are willing to offer. Contractually, that's what they have to offer because it is in our listing agreement. They are paying us a total amount, and out of that, we are paying a portion to the buyer's agent. Now, we can't advertise that in the MLS, but that commission structure is being predetermined and set at the time that we take the listing. Another option, and this option too kind of has two different alternatives on how it can play out. Number one would be that you don't put the buyer agent compensation in your listing agreement, but of course you're having that conversation with the seller, and the seller decides, okay, I would like to offer a certain percentage to a buyer's agent, let's say 2.5%. So even though it is not in your listing agreement, you've already communicated with the seller, and the seller has decided that they want to offer that fixed amount, 2.5%. You could go ahead and proactively fill out Form 220, insert in there, check the box that the seller is going to be paying the compensation, and put 2.5% in there. I would advise you not to have the seller sign that form yet, but you can provide that unsigned form to any buyer agents who are showing the home so that they can see what the seller's intention is. Now, again, I say intention because while they do intend to offer 2.5%, that could easily change and a new Form 220 could be completed. Now, the second alternative on this option would be that you and the seller don't actually set a predetermined commission amount. Now, again, you're going to have a conversation with the seller. You're going to explain that typically buyer agent firms are going to request to be paid anywhere between 2 and 3% would be most common. And you're going to prepare them for the eventuality that they will need to offer and pay a buyer agent compensation. However, you're not setting a fixed amount. So what you're essentially doing is saying to prospective buyers and buyer agents, yes, the seller is aware. They are willing to offer buyer agent compensation. They just haven't set a predetermined amount. So if you could send us over Form 220 with the amount of buyer agent compensation that you, your firm, and your buyer are expecting us to pay, then we will be happy to consider that along with the terms of the buyer's offer. So that would be an alternative way. So again, we have kind of two options. The second option with diverging alternatives here. First option is, as it's always been, in the listing agreement, we're setting that predefined commission amount for the buyer agent. On Form 220, you would check the box that listing firm is offering that amount of compensation. The second option that has two alternatives is to not put the buyer agent commission in the listing agreement, but still go ahead and set a predetermined amount that the seller intends to offer, and then make that amount known to anyone coming to show your property. And then that kind of third option is to not set a predetermined amount, but just let the buyer, any buyer agent showing the property know that the seller is willing to offer compensation and pay compensation, but that they just expect the buyer agent to send over Form 220 to let them know how much they are asking for. Those are kind of the three variations of how it could go. If you have had conversations that have gone differently, or you have other options or insights that you think may be helpful to other agents, please put them in the comments below. And as always, if you have questions, I'm just a phone call away. Until next time, take care.